Everyone thought Diana Reid was just another ordinary soldier. Quiet, average, forgettable, but in the middle of a deadly ambush, when her squad was seconds away from being wiped out, one single shot revealed a secret she had hidden her entire life, a secret that would turn fear into fire, and a soldier into a legend. The bus rattled along a dusty road, carrying fresh recruits toward the base. Among them sat Diana Reid, a tall but quiet young woman from a forgotten town. Her hands rested calmly on her knees, though every other soldier on the bus fidgeted with nervous energy. Some joked loudly to hide their fear. Others stared out the windows with tense silence. Diana didn't laugh. She didn't whisper. She simply breathed slowly, as though this wasn't her first time walking into fire. When the bus stopped at the gate, the drill sergeant stormed inside, shouting like thunder, "On your feet! Move, move, move!" Diana rose without hurry. Her boots struck the pavement with a rhythm too steady, too deliberate. She blended in just enough to look ordinary. Yet if someone had looked closer, they might have noticed the way her eyes swept the surroundings, not in panic, but in quiet calculation. She was measuring distances, exits, shadows. The first week at camp broke most new recruits. Long nights, endless drills, cruel heat, and punishing orders reduced many to tears. Diana never broke. She sweated, she stumbled, but her calm never cracked. Her squad began to notice little things. She never wasted energy, never panicked when others shouted, never argued with commands. In the mess hall, Diana rarely spoke. She listened, observing the noise around her like a woman reading a book. Her silence made others uneasy. "Reid," one soldier teased, "you hiding something? Or are you just too good for the rest of us?" Diana only smiled faintly, then went back to eating. But behind her calm face, memories stirred. She remembered a cabin deep in the mountains, where her uncle had raised her after her parents were gone. That man had been no ordinary guardian. He carried scars he never explained, spoke of patience and survival as if they were religion, and taught Diana things a girl was never meant to know. At 12, Diana had crawled through forests with a rifle almost as tall as she was. At 14, she could lie in the snow for hours without moving, waiting for the right moment to strike. At 16, she understood that silence was a weapon, and hesitation could mean death. But none of that belonged here. Not yet. So she let her fellow recruits believe she was just averaging another nameless young woman swallowed by the machine of war. What they didn't know was that Diana Reid had been trained for this long before the army found her. The second month of training brought weapons into their hands. For most recruits, it was the first time holding a rifle. Some shook when they pulled the trigger. Others grinned with pride when they managed to hit the paper targets. Instructors barked corrections, their voices bouncing off the range walls like whip cracks. Diana stepped up to her lane quietly, almost timidly. She adjusted her stance as if it were awkward. Her hands shook slightly, her first shot landing wide. The instructor gave her a look of pity. "Reid, relax. You're too stiff. Breathe." She nodded, pretending to absorb his words. The truth was far different. Every muscle in her body screamed for precision. Her uncle's lessons echoed in her head: patience, silence, one shot, one life. Diana wanted to center the scope, align the breath, and let the bullet find its mark. But she didn't. Instead, she missed again, this time grazing the edge of the paper. The instructor sighed and moved on. To everyone else, she was forgettable, average, not a disaster, not a starge, another body in the crowd. And that was exactly how she wanted it. Nights in the barracks told another story, while others wrote letters home or played cards to pass the hours. Diana lay awake staring at the ceiling. She thought of her uncle sitting by a fire in the mountains, his eyes dark and unreadable. She could still hear him whisper, "Don't waste what I've given you. Diana, don't show it unless the moment demands it." At times, she questioned her silence. Was she wasting it now, hiding the truth of who she was? Her squad thought she was dull, even boring, but hiding was safer than being noticed. Safe meant she could carry her secret until it was truly needed. Still, the mask weighed heavily on her chest, and in the silence of night, doubt began to creep in. It was during a night navigation exercise that the cracks in her disguise began to show. The squad stumbled through the forest with compasses and maps, circling the same ridge over and over. Tempers flared, exhaustion turned whispers into shouts. Diana stayed quiet, watching the tree line, listening to the night. She could hear a stream faintly in the distance. She remembered passing it earlier. She knew exactly where they were. Finally, she broke her silence. "We're going in circles," she said softly. "If we follow the stream north, we'll hit the checkpoint in 20 minutes. The squad leader scowled, but with no better options, he gave the order. 20 minutes later, they stumbled into camp. "Lucky guess," someone muttered, half impressed, half dismissing. But Diana knew it wasn't luck. It was instinct. The same lessons her uncle had drilled into her. She read the land like most people read books. Back at camp, no one mentioned it again, but some looked at her differently. Suspicion stirred. A quiet recruit who never spoke suddenly knew the way when everyone else was lost. It didn't fit the picture they had painted of her. Diana told herself it didn't matter. She could vanish back into silence, let them think what they wanted. But the truth was harder to bury each day. Deployment came swiftly. The squad was sent into the desert, where heat pressed down like a weight and silence stretched too long. Dust clung to their mouths, and every shadow felt like a threat. Diana moved as she always had in the middle of the formation, steady and quiet, but her senses caught things others missed. She saw villagers closing shutters when they walked by, tire tracks to fresh on roads, glints of metal half buried in sand. Her pulse quickened, but she bit her tongue. During one patrol, her eyes caught movement on a rooftop. A rifle barrel flashed in the moonlight. She hesitated, frozen between her secret and her squad. By the time she opened her mouth, a shot cracked through the air. The bullet missed only by chance, but panic rippled through her squad as they scrambled for cover. That night, under the endless desert stars, Diana couldn't sleep. Her silence had almost killed them. For years, she had believed hiding was protection, but now, silence felt like betrayal. Her uncle's words returned to her like a ghost. "One day you'll stand between danger and the people who can't protect themselves." Maybe that day had come. 3 weeks later, they entered a valley known for ambushes. The cliffs loomed high on both sides, a perfect trap. The silence was wrong, too heavy. Birds were absent, the wind too still. Then it happened. A sniper's shot split the air, striking the lead vehicle. Smoke billowed. Gunfire rained down from the ridges. Rockets screamed into the convoy. The squad scattered, pinned by bullets and dust. Diana lay flat against the ground, her heart hammering. Through the chaos, she spotted the glint of glass high. On the ridge, the sniper's nest. Her squad fired blindly, wasting rounds. Another soldier dropped, his cry swallowed by gunfire. "Winters, what do we do?" someone shouted, panic twisting their voice. Diana froze. Years of silence pressed against her chest. If she stayed quiet, more would die. If she acted, her secret would burn away. Her uncle's voice echoed in her ears. "Breathe. One shot is all you need." She crawled to a fallen soldier's rifle, heavier and longer than her own. She pressed the stock against her shoulder, exhaled, and fired. The crack split the air. A body tumbled from the ridge. The squad's fear turned into fury. They surged forward, firing back with renewed strength. The ambush broke apart. The valley belonged to them. Diana lowered the rifle, her chest heaving. For the first time, she had revealed herself. Back at camp, whispers spread like wildfire. Some said it was luck. Others swore it was impossible. One soldier insisted, "I saw her. One shot. Perfect. She saved us." Double quotes. Diana said nothing. She sat in silence, polishing the rifle, her face unreadable. But inside, the weight shifted. The mask of average had shattered. The truth had been revealed. Her squad studied her now, eyes lingering too long. No one asked directly, but the questions hung heavy in the air. Who trained her? How long has she been hiding this? Diana carried their stares like another burden. Her secret no longer belonged only to her. It lived in the squad's whispers, in their hushed awe, in the way they looked to her when fear returned. That night, under the desert wind, she remembered her uncle's final gift, a worn sniper's scope, placed in her hands with the words, "Don't waste it. One day you'll need it." That day had arrived, and from here, there was no going back. The desert never gave them time to breathe. Even after the ambush in the valley, orders kept coming. Patrol the roads, guard the convoys, hold the hills. Ward didn't care if soldiers were shaken or wounded. The machine demanded movement, and they had to obey. But something had shifted inside the squad. Before, Diana had been invisible. Now, silence followed her like a shadow wherever she went. Soldiers who once overlooked her now studied her with cautious respect. They had seen what one bullet could do. They had seen what she could do. At first, Diana tried to vanish again, to fall back into the role of the quiet recruit. But whispers carried through camp like wildfire.